Do you have like a particular view towards recreational climbers? Like there's definitely a separation there between the social group that you find yourself in versus, you know, people like Max and I at the Crag who are like cruxing at like 5'10", like we're we're on our own speed. Like maybe talk about the difference and how you and people in your circle maybe have a view towards people in our shoes and climbers like us.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I think what's really important to understand is like, it's not like there's a blanket derogatory view towards people that are, you know, have 1 or 2 days per week to climb, and, you know, do their best and go out and, you know, maybe their goal is to perform their best, but they're just earlier on in their journey than I am, or maybe their goal isn't to perform. It's just to like recreate, you know, just fully to be outside.
Totally, yeah.
And I would say, yeah, I mean, my view, and I think other people's views, is definitely not derogatory. I think it's just like, I think that there's a baseline mutual respect that we all have for one another that's quite unique to climbing. And I mean, I'm sure there's examples where like I had a bad day or for some other reason it came up, but I never intrinsically believe that I have any more importance or any more like right to be at a crag or to try something than someone else. You know, I always try my best to be respectful, even if it does happen that I'm warming up on something that someone's projecting or whatever it is. But no, generally speaking, I mean, 99% of all the climbers I meet, no matter what their level is, it's like awesome to share the crag with them. And I totally enjoy it. And in fact, actually my roommate who I've lived with now for like 3 or 4 years, a lot of times I tell people that my wife and I have a roommate and they're like, oh, is he a climber? And I think people kind of somewhat assume that we would live with someone who's like, you know, some kind of total bone crusher. But he's a guy that my wife actually met on Facebook on like the climbers, like Vegas climbers page.
Facebook, yeah.
And he's a great climber. He's really experienced. I mean, that's the thing too, is like, his name is Brian. He might not climb 512, but to be honest, like I'd feel way more comfortable climbing in a pair with him than I would with like plenty of 512 climbers than anywhere in Red Rock, because he knows the canyon so well and he's really proficient at trad climbing. But I mean, that's his thing, is like going to the gym a couple times a week, and then like going out and climbing 5 9s, 10s, and 11s, and like, you know, again, I think, you know, I see people like him and I don't necessarily think of him as being any less than me. It's just he's earlier on in his journey towards like whatever his performance goals are than I might be. And like I was a beginner and I was a moderate climber and I was a 5'11", 5'12". You know, we all went through that. So I think like if any professional ever loses touch with the fact that like they were once X, Y, and Z, then I don't know, that's probably gone too far, right?
We recently interviewed somebody and he mentioned the phrase, he had the mentality, the title of the episode was Reformed Elitism. And so he had this mentality of there are people who climb and then there are climbers. You know, I like that, you know, you and the people you surround yourself don't have that elitist mentality, which is awesome, but it does exist.
Yeah.
You know, my question here is kind of like, have you run into it before? Is it something that, you know, professionals that have to deal with? Or is it, you know, something that like people trying to be a professional and trying to prove themselves and have this ego attached to climbing and it's everything for them? That's where that kind of darkness creeps in. Like, do you have a relationship with, you know, meeting people that have that kind of elitist mentality and look down on other climbers for underperforming or not meeting certain expectations?
I think for the most part, the type of people that I surround myself with don't have that attitude. But I mean, you know, there are always moments. I think that like where I see myself and my closer friend community, and to be honest, like it's not like everyone I hang out with and climb with is a professional. Actually, the majority of them are not. They're all very passionate climbers and they're all generally quite good at climbing, especially like in global terms. But that being said, like, you know, probably only a couple, like a handful of people that are my best friends and that I climb with frequently are actually like pro climbers. But yeah, I think that the ways that I see and myself included, if I'm honest, the ways that I see me and my friends judge people or maybe look down on people has nothing to do with their climbing level. I think it has more to do with their experience level. And what I mean by that is, like, I think that there is a certain way to behave in the outdoors and a certain, like, again, mutual respect to have for one another. And so if I'm honest, where I see myself maybe looking down on others, I'm far more likely to throw shade at a couple of teenagers that might climb 513 but have never been to a crag and have got the music and they've got the whole like scene, and they've like, you know, they've like got Red Bulls that are getting tipped over. Oops, sorry. Got Red Bulls getting tipped over and this whole deal. Like, to me, they have very little experience, even though on paper they might be a good climber. That type of person is the type of person where I might even say something to them or throw them shade or kind of like try and, you know, help them correct some of their behaviors in a loving way or in like a tough love way. But like the you know, middle-aged couple that's out there to climb 510 and is clearly knows their way around the crag and has like been, this isn't their first rodeo, you know, I would never have, I personally, I feel like that would never, it wouldn't even cross my mind to have a thought of like, oh, you guys are climbing 10C, you guys suck, you know? I'm more like, oh, respect, you know, like we get it. I'm grateful to be here with you guys and to share the crag, and like, you know, if you need anything, let me know, or whatever, vice versa. So yeah, I think it's more about like understanding how to behave in the outdoors, mutual respect for these public places that we share, and mutual respect for like climbing and the climbing community in general. Those are the things that I might end up intentionally or unintentionally judging someone on. Not at all like they're kind of